Okay, tell me if you have a sentence. Good morning, Bob.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I'm busy.
You can tell it, sure.
What is the sentence?
The old man who crashed his car can't see well.
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct. But what is the main, let me answer, that's correct. The old man who crashed his car can't see well. What do you think is the main point, though, of these two sentences? Just common sense, forget grammar. What do you think the main thing is? If I'm telling you this story, what's the main point I'm making?
Can't see well.
Yeah, well, the way you wrote it, Rob, that's the main point, that he can't see well. See, if you say the old man who crashed his car can't see well, then my point is that he can't see well. See, I thought the main point was he crashed his car. Then I would write it how? How would I write it if the main point is that he crashed his car? Just change where you put just change. All right, let's write what you said, Prab. You said, the old man who crashed his car can't see well. Okay? What is the independent clause, Prab?
Independent clause.
Yeah, independent.
Crashed.
The independent clause is the one that stands alone. Prab?
The old man can't see well.
Exactly. That's the old man can't see well. The independent clause is the sentence that can stand alone. Okay? So we'll just put verbs, can see. Okay, subject, man. So the dependent clause is who crashed his car. Now, this is fine because who crashed his car describes the man. The only thing I want to point out is that this sentence is making the main point. The old man can see well. Now, please give me this sentence again and make the main point that he crashed his car.
Old man can't see well.
The old man who can't see well. Both sentences are correct. Both sentences are correct. But in the first sentence, you're making the main point that the old man can't see well. In the second one, the independent clause is the old man crashed his car, and you're making that the important thing. I would have written it this way because it doesn't matter though, because I think my point would be he crashed his car. I'm telling you, the old man who can't see well crashed his car. But it doesn't matter, they're both correct. And they're both, the dependent clause describes man. Okay? Now, we do have, because of some people's questions, students' questions about grammar, we do have a direct object here. What is it?
Object.
Pardon?
Object, right? You want
Direct object. There's a direct object in this sentence. I'll tell you this, I didn't mean to have a tricky thing here. It's just some people thought car is a direct object. Man is the subject. Crashed is the verb. Car is the thing that he crashed. Direct object. The subject of a sentence is always, always a noun or pronoun. Good morning. What part of speech is old?
adjective.
Adjective. Adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. All right? Can, see is the verb. Who is the subject? Well is what part of speech?
Adverb.
Adverb. Well is always an adverb, by the way. Okay.
Teacher, in this sentence, it means that the man cannot see well, and then he crashed his car.
Right.
This would mean that he crashed his car and then he cannot see well. Not me.
That wouldn't make sense, bro. Crashes, yeah, sure, if he crashed his car, maybe he went blind. But that's not it. If this is obviously saying he can't see well, that's why he crashed his car. Now your sentence makes the main point, the old man can't see well. Here the main point is the old man crashed his car. Doesn't matter. Depends on what the writer wants to emphasize. Do you know what I mean, emphasize?
Who can see well? Crash his car, the old man.
Yeah.
Can we use the who can see well? Crash his car, the old man.
No problem. That's what we call broken
Like
English.
right. The old man who crashed his car can see well.
What I do want to tell you that's important here, in both sentences, the dependent clause describes the subject, and that's good. The only thing I would go that's bad is when you move the modifier away. Like, what's really bad is the old man can't see well who crashed his car. Very bad, you know.
Driver. If we use who can see well, that means right driver.
Right, yeah. Yes, he was driving his car, he didn't see well, so he crashed it.
The old man who can see well crashed his car. Not bright, but cannot see well. Yes, that's right. The old man, he is not bright. His eye not bright.
His vision isn't good. He can't see well.
Can't see well.
Not right. Bên này à?
Can't see well. Crash his car.
You know, I'm afraid you're making it tougher than it is. You know, it's... The point is that these sentences are better writing than these two little sentences. That's the point. That it's better to write a sentence like this than to have two, in English we say baby sentences. This is much more mature writing. Okay. We've been reading, we read last week about problems of poverty and what they're trying to do about it in certain places. We talked about the fact that if you want to get a loan to start a business and you go to a bank, if you go to an ordinary bank, what do they want you to have? If you want to borrow a good amount of money and you go to an ordinary bank anywhere in the world, what does the bank want you to show?
Character, capacity, and
Collateral.
That's the word, collateral. And what is collateral?
house or car.
Car, I don't, you have to be honest, I don't know. I don't know whether they take a car as collateral. Because a car can crash the next day. Or
House.
a house or property usually is better.
Something valuable.
A car could cost $50,000, so that's valuable. But a car could be gone tomorrow, Or you could sell your car, tomorrow, which is different. Okay, so collateral is what you normally need. Now, does anyone, moving on from this, but this is not a class in talking about money and loans, but it's comprehension. So when you know the answers to some of these things, though, it means you have understood what we read. Now, what was the kind, we said, that's become very big in this world, in places where people don't have collateral, what kind of loans do they give people? It began in Bangladesh, they told us, and it's all over the world now. Let's say you have a village where you have people who don't have collateral, but need a little money to start a business. Please look up what they call that. Loans where you don't have collateral.
Peer pressure.
No, peer pressure, excuse me, Prof, saying you don't know so fast. Peer pressure is what helps people to pay the loan. But what do they call giving loans to people?
Micro-lending.
Micro-lending or microfinancing, yes, that's, page 3, micro-lending. That's where people don't have collateral. But they're asked to have, they want them to have, what do they want the people to have that they give money to? What two things? Character. Even when you go to the bank, character. And in a small village, we said people know which kind of people have good character. And the other thing is capacity. Can you run the business? Can you run this business? And what did they find out when they first began lending half the money to men and half the money to women? What did they find out about lending the money to men and women?
The women pay back more than the guys.
The women were much more reliable,
Responsible.
much more responsible. What did a lot of the men do with the money?
You spend by themselves.
They spent it, right? So one of the big micro-lending places now will not lend to men, only to women. Okay, we're going to finish that, on to something else now, but on page 56, number 10. Okay. Rob, would you read number 10 on the top of, on 56, please?
Only number 10, teacher.
10, critical thinking.
Critical thinking, making differences. Read the excerpt below from paragraph E. Answer this question. What might be some specific ways in which a woman with her own business receives more respect? In other words, make inferences about how this changes her life.
Good morning. Okay, so we know inferences are not something directly said, but something that you can gather from what has been said. Or an excerpt. That word excerpt. That means an excerpt is a piece taken from something else. So what we see is traditionally to village is taken out of, excerpt is something taken out of paragraph E. So, Bob, would you read that, what it says traditionally? Traditional.
Number 10.
Yeah.
Traditionally, in some societies, people thought of woman as worthless. But when a woman has access to money and it is able to demonstrate her capacity for business, she often receives more respect than before from the male members of her family and from the entire village.
Okay, so what they're asking is, why do you think this is? Why do you think that we know that in many societies women are considered to be worthless, but when she earns some money, in some of those same societies, she gains more respect, and in fact, they told us that her social status rises. Now, this is not a big thing, just why do you think this would be? What we're really talking about here is human nature. You know, it's not something from the text. Why do you think that people begin to respect a woman more? Anybody?
Because now women have the good education and
She doesn't have an education here. She doesn't have an education. She just is earning some money to help her family.
she can make her business.
Yes. So why do you think people respect her more, Young?
Because she have ability to work.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's nothing. Because people. That's just the way people are. They tend to respect people who can earn some money and take care of themselves. Anything else you might? Yes.
The woman show her capable of for pay back money and make a family complete, and they have the food to eat like that.
Nadia, very good. Yeah, you're both correct. She's shown that she's capable of paying back money, of handling a business, and taking care of a family. Those are the things that we usually think that we expect the men to do, right?
Yes.
So the women have children, but this is in certain societies, but it's expected that the men can do that. Now you have a situation where the men aren't responsible, but the woman is responsible. She starts a business, she's paying back money, and she's taking care of her family. So people respect her more. That happens. Any comment? Okay, I'm not going to go there. They have that cartoon down there. I don't know. Why don't you take a look at it? I don't know what I think about it. So see, look at that cartoon at the bottom. Here you have, this is the rich guy. Those are champagne glasses. He's toasting champagne. So this will be a 38th floor office building. Rooftop garden, complete gym. Everything will be the best quality. Money is no problem. I already have most of the financing. I just need to borrow another $3 million from the bank. No problem. I'll put up my Beverly Hills house as collateral. So this is Mr. Big Shot Money, right? Then he leaves the party with this glamorous girl, and there's a guy who comes along with no money. He says, "Excuse me, could you spare a dollar?" Forget it. Go get a job.
Wow.
Spare $1 mean
Oh,
give me $1?
Yes, can you spare? Do you have an extra dollar? Now this man has just said he's got loads of money, he'll get another $3 million from the bank, he'll put up his big house as collateral, and some guy on the street says, can you spare $1? Can you give me $1? He says, no, get a job. Of course, that's very true. I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it? Okay. I don't think it's worth discussing, I don't know. All right, now we're reading about something else on page 57. Consumerism and the human brain. What this is really, now everyone is a consumer. Consumer just means you buy something. Even if you go and buy a bag of rice, you're a consumer. You're consuming something. But this is really about advertising. It has a lot to do with how people are affected by advertising.